Bam.
This is Dean Butler, and you're watching the Break It Down show.
The other day, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and I always use Laura Ingalls Wilder as like this life of incredible things. Yes, incredible talent. Yes, incredible success. But post Civil War birth, just post, traveled across part of the nation in a covered wagon, also in an uncovered car, and, and space flight had begun during her lifetime.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
And there's Alison. Hey, Alison.
Hey, yes, hi. Yes, all my buttons are working. Hi.
Oh, thank goodness. I was just saying how like the remarkable stretch of time that Laura Ingalls Wilder was alive. And the other day I was using this as an example. And now I'm realizing that, look, you guys can say how old you are or not, but I know I'm 55. And so I look back and I'm like, you know, like Louis Armstrong was alive when I was alive. You know, like or maybe not Louis Armstrong, but you know, there's guys like that. Jesse Owens. I remember Jesse Owens dying, and he goes back to, oh my God, it's amazing. And so that's sort of the opening. For those of you who don't know, Dean and Alison were on Little House on the Prairie, and there's another 50.
That's why we're having a history lesson, ladies and gentlemen. We're having a history lesson because Alison and I, who were not actually there,
we're not in the
but who pretended to be there
but
as part of a wonderful television series.
We have read up, though. We're up on stuff. We have read this. Yeah, I mean, Laura traveled the country in a covered wagon, and by the end of her life, like owned an Oldsmobile and had a really nice.
Yeah, no, that's what exactly. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And TV, and she wasn't on TV. She owned a TV. It said she didn't watch it much, wasn't fond of the programs, but she listened to the radio, and she was interviewed on the radio.
Well, you know, and that's really the only time I've heard her voice as part of a very brief interview that she did called Laura Speaks. Actually, it's a segment of an interview that someone captured from a source, don't know what the source was, and put it on a CD disc so that fans of hers could actually hear what she sounded like. And that was the recording where I discovered had confirmed for me that we had been mispronouncing the name Almanzo. It should have been Almanzo. We had been mispronouncing it. When I heard her say it, I sort of knew all of that communication that I received through the years was confirmed in that 127-second recording.
Oh
yep.
My gosh.
She went to the movies. I remember reading about, she went with her daughter to the Pan Pacific Exposition in San Francisco.
Yes.
And she saw a film with Charlie Chaplin and apparently hated it. It was quite funny reading about it. Yes, she went to the movie, saw Charlie Chaplin, and said he was like the least funny human being she'd ever seen.
Oh, that's interesting.
Didn't like it.
She went to the Palace of Fine Arts, I think, is where a lot of that was done. Yeah. You know, at that point, interestingly, just south of San Francisco, in an area called Irvington, is where the studios were at that point. And Charlie Chaplin was doing a lot of his early work in the South Bay area, making a lot of the silent films that he was making. So it was a natural thing for her to have perhaps seen him.
I went to Rose's house in San Francisco. One of Rose's.
Wow. Oh, really?
Yeah. There's a house that was Rose Wilder's in San Francisco where she was living when she brought her mom out to catch the Pan Pacific. Nice place.
Yeah. Was it really? Yeah.
It's up on a hill. It's great.
Nice. So what are we going to talk about here?
Well,
we're
doing it. We're doing it. But
we're doing it. I mean, we're going to talk about the latest 50th anniversary get together, and that one's going to be coming up here. And I'll put all that stuff here in some links. We were just getting warmed up, so I haven't done that part yet, but I will. But I mean, I just think it's fascinating that time frame that she covers, and this is how long this time frame is when I have an older guest. You guys don't qualify. I can ask them, did your class write to Laura Ingalls Wilder when you were alive, you know? And I asked this question, maybe you guys know, you probably both know Ruta Lee. If not, you know who.
Oh, sure, of course. I'm friends with Ruta Lee. We share a publicist. I love Ruta Lee.
Yeah. Right. We all love Harlan. But I like to ask people like Ruta, like, did you guys write to Laura Ingalls Wilder? Now, I haven't gotten any yeses yet, but it's certainly possible people are still alive who have that memory. That's crazy.
What was it? She died, 59? Was it 59?
57.
Yeah. 57. I just missed it. Yeah. But I know people who did. I know lots of people who did. Yeah. I'm 63, so I missed the regular. But I know people. I have friends who are like, oh, yeah, we had the whole thing. Right to Laura Ingalls Wilder. I mean, wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
I'm 69. So she, and every letter that she ever received is been filed and categorized at the at her longtime home in Mansfield, Missouri. They have records of every letter she ever received.
Isn't that crazy?
It's
Yeah.
pretty, and it was a lot of letters, a lot, and she answered her fan mail, and quite extensively, and not just like, thanks for writing. And she really sat down and in longhand answered these letters, which is pretty great. Yeah.
That is great. And that art, and it's an art of letter writing. You know, I try to write little letters and notes to people and everything, because whoever gets anything good in the mail, I'm not talking on your doorstep, I mean in your mailbox, who goes, oh my gosh, there's mail anymore? Like,
it's true. It's mainly, it's mainly junk mail, and of course bills, which people we need to get, but aren't thrilled to get them. It's mainly that. When you get a handwritten note today, that's a very special thing, to see a handwritten note from somebody, and to see anything more than a sentence or two is even rarer, I think.
Yeah. When I was deployed in the earlier part of my career, it was still the era of letters. And so you would sit down and thoughtfully write, a 2 or 4 page letter on small paper, but you would write it out, and you would be so thoughtful, because you're like, they're not going to get this for a week. They won't be able to communicate, if they even have time, because not even then we weren't reliable at writing back and forth. But it was a lovely experience to read and cherish a letter. I mean, look, who cherishes an email, like, and holds it, reads it many times, like we just don't do that. But a letter was something special.
Yes, it was. Particularly when you're writing sort of romantic letters back and forth to somebody, you're getting these letters and you're sending these letters and you're just hanging on every word. It's very special. No question.
Yeah. I'm going to put the link up here, everybody, for the reunion schedule with all the info and everything. And I'm going to put the link for the tickets up here too. Let's talk about real quick, the one that you guys did in June in Columbia. How are these things for you guys? And by the way, Columbia, California, if you're not sure what we're talking about, but how are these things for you guys? How much of this is work and how much of this is joy when you do these things?
Alison?
50-50? Do you want to say?
Yeah, it's both. I mean, there's no
it's got to
question
be
it's
work.
both.
Yeah.
And we were organizing a lot of this one in conjunction with the people who ran Columbia. It was a whole group effort. But we had to do a lot of work. And I mean, Dean, I don't know, I did toothpicks under the eyelids by the end of the thing. So we were organizing stuff. And then we were doing our thing and meeting people and signing. And it went on and on and on. And there were thousands of people. So it got really exhausting. But we didn't stop, because Little House fans tend to be generally very polite and rather nice. So when we're signing, we have all these people coming up to us, and sometimes people are crying, and people are coming up and saying, this was my child and I grew up with the show. And it's a whole experience, and it's not boring. And it's not like, oh, they're just fans trying to go, give me 2 of them and 3 of them. And they don't care. They like are really there for a reation. And that energy is just, what have I got myself into? And it's quite the experience. So, massive amounts of joy. And then we collapse by the end of it.
Yeah. Right. Pete, you see it in people's eyes. You see their happiness, or you see this experience that they had, in most cases, as younger people, watching the program, their memories sort of flash back in their heads as they're approaching you. And you just sort of see this emotional spectrum happening for people as they come up to you. And as Alison said, I mean, sometimes it's laughter, sometimes it's tears. In her case, sometimes it's daggers in the eyes, because, they want to, they want to lash back at her for some appalling thing that she said or did at some point. But it's all, I think, and I think Alison would agree, it's all laced in a huge level of affection for what they got. I mean, that's the overall temperature is affection. It's very positive. It is connected. It's committed. It's, the Little House is, for people who are coming to our events, Little House is a part of their life, and it's an ongoing part of their life. And it's astonishing. It really, truly is, which has kept Little House deeply a part of all of our lives because we are sort of, we're two sides of the coin. They need us and we need them. And it's really sort of a wonderful, become a really wonderful relationship at this point.
Yeah. The last time we were on, I discussed with you too about how there was, when I was a little kid in the 70s, they had a program for reading and they would hand out the weekly script. You guys remember me talking about this? And like you would read ahead and be like, and then Laura went to the candy, and you would read it out loud and perform it in class. And it was this great reading program. And since the last
time, was it based on the series or was it based on her books?
No, it was based on that week's episode. So it wasn't just Little House. It might be fill in the blank 70s show. The Waltons for sure was one of them, right?
Sure.
And so all of these, it was a great reading program. And maybe it was, I don't know, were you guys on ABC? What channel were you guys on?
NBC.
Yeah.
NBC. Okay. So it wasn't even network specific. And so like there was like a short-lived Spider-Man like live action series back in the 70s.
Yes.
Sure.
And I believe we had the Hulk as one of, but it's stuff that the kids would like. And when we read it, anyhow, I found someone who remembered it because no one else has ever remembered this thing, and I was so delighted. That's one of
who was scoring these scripts for you? Who was Bogart?
No, it was a legit program. It was like a, remember that old like almost like newspaper type print they would make books out of for kids and everything. It was printed on that, and it was all 100% legitimate.
The Weekly Reader and Scholastic.
Right, I remember as Weekly Reader and Scholastic. That was Weekly Reader was Scholastic Press, was it not?
I mean, it was those scripts. I'm like, what a great bit.
Yeah. And so it was just ahead. We'd read that one like maybe the week before or that week, and then it would show the episode. And again, like, depending on what time of the week you read, but yeah, it was a marvelous thing. And you just felt like you were on the inside, And so I don't know what press did it, but yeah. What a fun thing. Anyhow, I just wanted to tell you guys that I found someone who knew about it. And I think, and actually his family's a Hollywood family, and they probably have some kind of, I'll have to ask him what the company was if he remembers. Anyhow, just a little bit of an aside. Thanks for going on that journey with me.
Sure. No, I think that's really cool. I'd never heard of that. Frankly,
I never did, but what a great idea, Dragon. Because I know the books really get a lot of kids who don't read into reading. I've seen that a lot. And I've met teachers who said, well, I'd show like an episode like Town Party, Country Party, which is big factors into the books, and then say, now go read this, and got kids who just didn't want to reading. So that must have really lit a fire under them. It's like, here's a script, for heaven's sake.
Yeah. I mean, imagine being 8 and reading an episode of The Incredible Hulk,
God, right?
I mean, it was just, and I don't remember all of them, but I remember a lot of them. And it was like, White Shadow was one of the ones we read.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I knew some people on who had done White Shadow. And that Ken Howard, who was the star of White Shadow, ended up being one of the president of SAG at one point during a very tenuous, challenging time in our industry. In the 90s, early 2000s. He was a really good guy. Really good guy.
Back to this work versus joy equation. So I've got 2 things I want to ask about this. I got the chance. I happen to know someone. I know Jeannie Buss's husband, Jay Moore. He's a friend of mine. He's a comedian, and he's like, hey, anytime we're going to come to a game, let me know and I'll get you in. And so I just think I'm going to get some really choice seats. But I got like the owner's access thing, and it's ridiculous, right? And so we're down in this club underneath, the Staples Center, or sorry, the crypto.com center. And, and it's like a temporary club. And Jeannie kind of holds court in there, right?
Wow.
I've met Jeannie at their guys' play and everything. I don't want to bug her. And so I just kind of see her and just be like, but she's working, right? She's working, she's being the owner, and she doesn't need to schmooze with me. And so I just sort of like let her be her, and I don't go bug her. But I know I could go say thank you, but really I just don't even want to bother her, right? Like, I'm appreciative. What do you think? Should I have gone up and said something?
Yes, you should have. You should have.
Real quick. Hey, how you doing? Thanks. She's great.
Thank you for having me. And she'd say, you're so welcome and have a great time. And it would just have been a moment for you. But okay, maybe there will be another moment. But I think you should. That's what those moments are for. is
Well,
to
she was
create that
always
kind of
packed
interaction.
around people too.
Of
though.
course.
That's the other thing.
Yeah, no, of course.
And that's,
Yeah.
but that is cool of you to consider that and go, wow, this person is actually working and they are swamped. So I'll wait back here. I'll like take my turn.
Right.
And like, yeah, that's cool. And not just go, well, I don't know why she didn't just drop everything. It's like, you got it.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Right.
Yeah, you could have snuck in and said, hey, thank you. I'm so happy I'm here. And she probably would have been thrilled.
Yeah. Yeah, I was
Well, she
torn,
would have been
and-
very gracious to you, I'm sure. I mean,
Of
that's
course,
the
right.
thing that, you know,
I
this
didn't
is,
want her to have
yeah.
to be gracious. That was kind of my whole
very
thing. It's
nice.
like,
Okay.
because I literally could see her like, I might go see Jay next week, whatever, right? She could walk in and everything. Anyhow, who cares about that? The other funny moment I had, so if you guys remember, I used to be a spy. And if I was,
I'm sorry, you used to be what?
I
He used to be a spy.
Yeah.
A spy.
That's right. Yeah.
Wh-
And so I would go out into villages and talk to people and that kind of thing. And so
Where
I was
were you?
getting
Where were you a spy, Pete?
Usually a spy.
Afghanistan, Iraq,
Wow. Wow.
Egypt, Bosnia,
Okay.
a bunch of
Yeah, he
places.
was
right?
operative.
So,
They put him in and he brought back
Wow.
info. And
yeah, it was awesome.
Wow.
I had a great job. But in
Wow.
those days, if I ended up in Genie Bus's, temporary nightclub, in a stadium, I would have to work that crowd. And I sat there and I ate Genie's popcorn and was just having a great time drinking our drinks and stuff. And I thought, I don't have to do anything except for just have a great time. I
Yeah,
don't care
right.
who's there. And I brought my girlfriend's son and a couple of his buddies because they really love it, right? They're all about this. And I'm like, make sure you
Sure.
guys go down to this club. It's going to be great. And so they come up like, Pete, do you know who's standing right behind you? And I'm like, don't know, don't care. Because I was enjoying not working, right? This is the other
Yeah.
side of it. And they're
Mhm.
like, it's Leonardo DiCaprio, and I'm like, how close is it to me? Like, if you went back with your elbow, you'd bump into him. And I'm like, cool, you guys should go say hi to him. So I was encouraging them to go say hi,
Yeah.
but I was like, I
Yeah.
don't want to. And then next to him was, I don't know, Toby Maguire or somebody else, somebody very famous. And their minds were blown and they were trying to figure out who
Wow.
everybody was. And I was just happy not doing any work at all and just being on the joy side of the equation.
Yeah. I have never met Leonardo DiCaprio. I have met Tobey Maguire, and he's a very affable guy. I mean, I think you get with him what you think you're going to get. He's just I think you would have had a nice experience there too, even though you didn't want to be working.
Yeah.
But you would have had a good experience.
celebrities and famous folks and team, they're human beings, and sometimes they're
Yeah.
just chilling, have a night out. So, like, yeah, if it's not overly intrusive, you can just walk by and go, "Great hot dogs here, don't you think? Good game, you know." And
Right.
not a problem.
Yeah.
And just act normal, you know. But yeah, they're just hanging out. They're being people and enjoying themselves, just like you. That's a good attitude.
Yeah, I think it's I think where it can become problematic is, and everybody has experienced this at one point or another, where someone will glom onto you
Like, get weird.
and they're not going to go away. And
Right.
that can become a little problematic. You sort of get that's where, it's sort of their moment and they're going to take full advantage of it. But that's where it can be challenging. Just saying hi to somebody and I've loved your work and thank you so much. It's like, boom, done. That's that's a winner for everybody.
Yeah. No, thanks. I appreciate that because
Yeah.
I default to the camp of, I see that person, but I'm not going to run up and be like, Tony LaRusso.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I don't have to do that. But even just say, hey, Tony, I don't even want to pop their I'm being Tony bubble. I just want to let them kind of cruise through life,
Sure.
Very cool.
No,
Yeah.
good for you. I mean, that's very considerate of you and, and very nice. But I think part of this game is that it is a public thing. And when you're as public as the kinds of people are that you're talking about, that's, there's a reason they're going there. They're not going there to disappear into the crowd.
Yeah, they know they're
Right.
sitting down front.
They know that they're there because people know them. And that's part of it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if
So-
you're nice, it's we were talking about the other day on the podcast about how often I get recognized, and it's kind of bonkers. It's like all the time. And I am very cool because, like I said, Prairie fans, 99.9%, so polite, so nice. So it's like, sure. Great.
Yeah.
And I don't mind, yes, restaurants, normal things. I guess I draw the line when I'm on my way to the ladies' room or actually in the ladies' room. Y'all can wait like 5 minutes. I had a woman actually hand an autograph book under the stall door. Only once.
Seriously.
But swear.
Oh my God.
Handed the autograph book under the stall door.
Pretty nervy.
I said,
It's
don't
my
you
one
want
shot.
Yeah.
me to wash my hands? why don't you wait until I've washed my hands? Wouldn't that make sense? So yes, and the other one I draw my line. I think funerals and memorials,
Oh,
maybe. And only because
yeah.
I don't know what it is. A very strange phenomenon. I'm trying to figure it out. Maybe it's because, people at a funeral memorial, they're emotionally keyed up and they're not thinking clearly. I have had more weird encounters from strangers at funerals and memorials than anywhere else. And I remember thinking, this is an odd place to do that. But it was like, wow. And I thought, why would you do that in the middle of like the funeral?
Yeah.
Well, indeed, I have seen that. And so, yeah, funerals and going to the restroom. I say, yes, you should probably wait a few minutes before. Yeah. Other than that, I'm like, hi, Brit, sure.
Hi, how you doing? Right, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
I was. We had some very wonderful access to the Dodgers game one time, and I peed next to Vin Scully, and it wasn't like oh, little fella, kind of thing, just like leave him alone.
You say, right?
Yeah.
That's a time to go, la 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 la.
Yeah. Nobody's here. Nobody's here. Yeah. By the way, cut to about a minute and a half later, John, who founded the show with me, he turns around to tell me something amazing that he just seen. He does one of these and right into Vin Scully's solar plexus, and this is like maybe the season he left. And so he's like, oh my God, I've killed a national treasure. But Vin,
he was baseball for so many people.
Oh, yeah. No, for sure.
That's just he was a remarkable presence, and that just there was poetry in Vin Scully that was really, really special.
He wiped it off. He's like, hey, don't worry about it. I'm tougher than that kid.
Yeah.
He can call anything, even a collision, so
yeah.
One of the things I'm curious about, there were so many shows from the era that you guys were on, Little House. They don't have the kind of lasting legacy. So there's, again, like, how much is this you guys' desire to be part of this and the fans wanting you? I mean, look, we don't have family reunions. Maybe there's some folks from the Waltons that do this, but you guys are you are the brand for this.
Yeah.
How did this happen? And is it just because of the show? I don't know. Can you guys explain it at all? Like, why you all with all, like, there's no Gunsmoke, reunion kind of thing.
Right. Well, I think there has to be, Alison, I'm sure you've got probably really good answers to this, but there certainly has to be a critical mass of people. When I say critical mass of people, there has to be a critical mass of cast that wants to do it. I think that's really important. And believes in it. And I think it's really, and I think Alison and I can speak to this. We genuinely enjoy it. There are cast members who simply don't enjoy it, and that's just like there's no way of knowing how you're going to respond to something like that. But if you enjoy it, it can be very, very satisfying. And we do have a critical mass of people who do enjoy it. And I think that's as much as anything else, what makes it possible. And then of course you have to have the people who have a reason who want to come and see you because they love it and they watch it and so on. But I think you have to enjoy it in order to do it well, like anything else in your life.
We have several kooky things going on. When our show was so emotional and people reacted to it totally viscerally and not mentally, that they're very attached now in a weird way, 51 years later, that many shows, there's shows where people go, oh, that was a very good performance. That was a very good actor. With our show, they're like, it's real. They're very attached in an amazing way. I'm shocked at how much interest there still is in the show. I mean, yeah, we're rerunning all over the place. As I said, Roku, Amazon, you name it. But it's true. There are shows absolutely that were on in the 70s, same time as us. And I sometimes slightly gloat about this. I try not to, but there are shows, they were really, really, really big hits at the same time we were on, and they won Emmys, and they were the critics' darling, got great articles, and they're not being rerun. There's no DVD, there's no reunion, it's gone. And I'm like, why? Wait, and I'm kind of actually stunned because they were great shows, and I know some of the actors are still around. I'm like, what the heck? But this just didn't happen. And then there's other shows that had 50th anniversaries, and they had some reunions of the cast. First of all, the cast should kind of still be speaking to each other. Most shows, that's the case. Waltons all hang out together. We hang out. The people from Gilligan's Island all adored each other. There's certain shows where they're all thick as thieves, but they're like, I don't know, 8 of them. I mean, most shows, they're just not. The MASH people are pretty chummy. But It's
Okay.
hard to get cast to speak to each other. So if you have a show, even if the fans go wild and you try to call up the cast and they're like, "Oh, that's not going to happen." And then you may have cast who are like, "We're gung ho to do it." Is your show rerunning? Is it on cable? Is it on DVD? Is it on streaming? And it's not. So your only fans are the ones that watched you in 1972 or whatever. We've got people coming up to us who are like 19, 20 years old going, "I just started watching it." And I'm like, what is happening? We have literally new generations of fans, and that's very unusual. So we have a perfect storm where the cast is, so many of us are alive. So many of us are willing to go to these things. We're all speaking to each other to some extent. And the fans are terribly attached. So it just kind of blew up. And then once we saw where it was going, we went, well, I guess we'll all go to that then. And we've just been going ever since. And it's escalated. It is just escalated. The 50th anniversary in March of 2024 in Simi, 18,000 freaking people showed up. And now we're having this thing in December in Strathern, and the response is gigantic. And I just shake my head every day, but I like it. I'm glad.
Yeah. I mean, again, it flows back to, if you like it and enjoy it, it's really good news that people like. And there are members of our cast who could absolutely take it or leave it. It's just it's just a very personal thing, and there's no judgment on it. It's just the only reason to do it is if you like it. You've got to like some aspect of it.
Hanging out at a table for several hours, talking to strangers and signing your name and answering the same questions
over and over again.
Yes, I like that episode too. There's people who just don't. That's not their thing. They are never going to do that. They're like, nope, I can't sit that long. I can't hang out that long. I'm shy. I don't like to talk to strangers. Whatever. They're like, I don't get it. I can't do it. It's not my thing. It is not their thing.
Yeah.
It would be bored silly if we force them to go. And there's other people who are like, when's the next one? They're like, right.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Pete, one of the things that's important to me in this, it is truly important to me, is I want people who approach us and then dealing with me specifically, I want people to come away from an interaction feeling like they got what they saw years ago. I mean, we all look different. There's no, we're clearly, all those years later, we're not exactly the same as we were, but in essence, it's important to me to have people feel like they are connecting with what they saw, and what they saw and liked, they get a chance to see it and like it again in a different form. But I think that's really, and I think that adds to their comfort if they feel like the person they're approaching and that they loved or love to hate or whatever it is essentially that still. That makes that interaction much easier and much more fun for everybody, frankly.
And we generally look damn good. I gotta say,
you do look good.
Have you seen Karen Grassley? Who's Karen?
No, she looked great. I bet she does.
Oh, Karen looks incredible.
Is she 83?
Yeah, she looks incredible.
How old is Katie Lester? Who is Esther to the Beautiful Singer? Love Letters. Love Letters.
Yeah.
She's 90 now.
She looks amazing. She looks amazing. Charlotte Stewart, who we were just with this morning, is still fun and sweet, and when people connect to her, she connects back, and it's a really good experience. People are getting flashbacks to their childhood, and children get to, children who approach us, sometimes they have to look at the picture, and then they have to look at you, and then look at the picture, and they're, to confirm that, and hopefully they see it in the eyes. I mean, that's sort of where it comes out, is in the eyes. And people, if they look closely, they will see that we are who we were.
Yeah, people see us and they say, "Oh gosh, you've grown up," but nobody looks at our pictures, looks and says, "Man, what happened to you?"
Yeah, right. No, we don't get that.
We all look pretty darn good. Like we used to occasionally.
You look like, it's nice to hear when someone says to you, "You look like you." You still look like you. I mean, that's a nice thing, because there are people who don't look like them anymore, and that would be difficult.
Yeah, right. Well, especially if you're trying to stay relevant and
Yes,
you're
of
using
course.
your appearance, there is a funny thing I've noticed for us dudes is, and I didn't know this until I saw my uncles all wear the same Western hat. And so when you put that hat on, there's something about the reframing of your face where you're like, oh my God, my Uncle Gary and my Uncle Arthur and my grandfather, who I never met, all look the same. But when you see them at their different eras of their life, you're like, these guys don't look alike at all, But that is something about cutting off the top half of your head, where if you were to wear your Almanzo hat,
Right.
I think
Right.
we would all instantly recognize you.
Well, he gets girls who still say he's cute, which is nice. He has the women who are madly in love with him when they were young watching the show, and think, oh, he's still cute, and they make a huge fuss, and that's
I
what
love it.
No, Pete, it's very flattering. It's incredibly flattering. My wife, Catherine, always says, when I'm, going out the door for a weekend, she says, well, go off and enjoy being adored again. And, and you can't discount the value of that. There's just something really quite wonderful about having people come up to you and respond so wonderfully to something that you're really genuinely happy that you were a part of. Yeah. That's a really lovely gift to get from people. So you sort of want to return that gift in kindness and attention. And so they know that there's a real interaction happening. And that's where I think there's pleasure in that for all of us.
Much like getting good mail that you're excited about, I have discovered in my middle age, one, that we're all invisible, but two, if you can say to someone genuinely, like, you know what, that is a great looking shirt, Dean. We never get compliments, like you guys might because you're at an event or whatever, right? But like if you're walking through the Rouse and someone's like, dang, that's a great shirt. You're like, do you see me? I really hear.
Oh, that's interesting. I mean, guys don't generally do that. I think women are much more inclined to, Alison, I don't know, you can answer that, but I think women seem to be more inclined to have that kind of communication.
I will totally say, well, oh my God, I love that necklace. I say, oh, what is, oh, I love that scarf. Yeah. And so, women will notice things they're wearing. And women, if they will often ask someone, hey, your hair's great. Who does your hair? I'm looking for a hair. We'll hit each other with somebody's good hair, try to get the phone number. Women will talk about appearance, theirs, other people's, and they like it.
Yeah.
So, that's much more a thing. And then in our case, because we're talking to people who adore us and think we're still cute. Well, we just get like compliments all day at these things, and I just go, keep it coming. And when they say, "Oh, you haven't changed," I go, "You can just stand at my table."
Thank you so much for that.
Yes, go right ahead.
I always say when people say you haven't changed, I always say you're very generous.
Yeah,
that's very generous of you to say that. But but I think going back to the previous part of the conversation, I have rarely at any point in my life had, a guy come up to me and say, I really like your shirt. I mean, that just doesn't, that's not a communication that generally happens. It's not that it doesn't happen, but it's rare. That's unusual. For women, I think that's very common. There's a very affirming energy that women have with each other, but men are a little more standoffish.
I have adopted this practice. I'm not saying I'm great at it. I'm not saying I do it all the time, but I try to, especially and the hold card that you always have, the ace that you want to have. Alison nailed it earlier. I can reliably go to a woman's hair, and I won't lie about it, and say, whatever you did with your hair, it's great. I love it, right? And it's safe. It's not creepy.
That's
it's
nice,
easy.
Pete.
And then with dudes, I don't know.
So it's not creepy. You don't think women aren't reacting to you like it's a little creepy for you to say that?
Getting guys to notice that we did our hair. Many women complain their husbands don't even know when they got a haircut. They come, oh, honey, don't you like you got a haircut? And it's like saying, oh, did you get a haircut? You look great.
Yeah.
Actually, for me, the answer is, Catherine, that's a wonderful haircut. Or Catherine, I love your hair today. I mean, that's a really important thing. Now it's interesting. When I get a haircut, she doesn't comment.
No notice.
But I do comment on her because that's important that we acknoldge that.
That is always a safe compliment. Absolutely. Everybody wants to know their hair.
Now, Pete, I'm going to say, I think there'd be a slight difference. Like you can approach a woman in her 40s,
right,
and tell her that you like her hair. You can't go up to an 18-year-old or a
I mean,
22-year-old
them at all.
and say that. You just can't.
Don't even speak.
No, you're right.
That would be a mistake.
We've separated so far in generations. Even it's like so.
Yeah.
I was just at a client's work, and one of my friends, who the client also, his daughter works there, and she's college age and everything. And I basically don't acknowledge her presence unless I need to for some specific reason, because it is right. And she knows me, and she wouldn't care at all if I walked over and said hi. But I limit that, and that's as easy as it is. If it's any further than that, then yeah, I don't see them, they don't see me, right? That's the thing. I was going to ask you though, Dean, with this male compliment thing, what is it like? What can we say? What's the hey, your hair looks great compliment that you could say to a dude? And like whatever, like I can go grab your arm and be like, hey, you working out? But I don't think that's it. Like, what do you think?
I will comment somebody if they're wearing a jacket that I think is great. I say that's that's a great coat. That's a great love that. It's a great tie. Comment on that. I don't comment on shoes. I don't comment. I just don't comment on that. But a jacket, a suit, a tie, yes. I'll comment on that. But that's about as far as it. That's about as far as it goes.
This. When you pay that compliment, because I've been asking people this, so I'll say, "Oh, hey, Dean, your haircut's fantastic." Whatever it is, right? And then
I'd
they go,
say, "Thanks,
really?
Pete." Thanks,
Pete. Thanks, Pete. Whatever it's going to be, right? When was the last time? And this wouldn't work so well with you, but like if you were just Dean, some other dude at the Ralph's, picking up some guacamole.
Yeah.
And if I said, "Hey, your hair looks great," and if I asked that guy, and I say, "When was the last time someone paid you a compliment?" You know what they say to me? They're like, I can't remember the last time I had a compliment.
Never.
And I'm like, well, fuck it. I'm going to give these compliments out. I don't even care if someone if it gets weird, And I'm talking middle-aged and older folks. And I'm telling you,
that's a nice thing, Pete. I mean, if it's all in the tone of how you do.
Oh
it.
yeah,
it's all in that. Either. I'm sorry. What was the last part?
They haven't all landed, so I've had to
try
to work.
I get it. I get it. It's not always going to work.
I support this campaign. And then as a woman, I have a little more leeway to comment on hair. I sometimes, and knowing that I'm way older, and then sometimes if the very
you're not way older.
If an 18-year-old, sometimes they recognize anything I say is like somehow okay. But I will, if I see a very young person, especially if they have particularly interesting hair, like it's blue or it's green or it's shaved to one side or because I was a punk in the 70s, I will just quietly walk by and go, love your hair, and just what and this is a hit.
I love it.
Yeah, that's and you can do that.
I can do that.
There are very few men who could do that with an 18-year, no matter how benign the comment is. It's just probably not a good idea.
I don't know. Good look for you.
Yeah, great. You maybe, but it's got to be. Yeah. Now, I will say it to somebody, for example, at an event. If the young woman is there with her mother, and I will say something then, if I'm inclined to say something, I would say it then because there is safety in that.
Mom's there. You're not being weird. You're
right. Exactly. I'm being, if I were slipping her a note in her hand as I shook her hand, that would be a problem. But now some young women might really like that, but I think most would probably be, oh, that's really creepy. Why did he do that? And of course I just wouldn't do that. So I think you have to just sort of feel these moments out as they happen. But I think if a young woman is there with her mother or her grandmother and you compliment her on her hair and so on, that's okay. I think that.
What about grabbing her hand and saying "Enchanté" and giving her a little European hand kiss?
Don't think so.
No. Okay.
You know the answer. As you ask that, you're just looking for you're just looking for a response now. You know that you can't do that.
That would be worst case scenario.
You just can't do that.
It would be really bad.
How about if you grabbed the dad's hand and you said "Enchanté" and then kissed his hand?
Then you might get hit in the face.
All right, now we're getting somewhere.
Yeah. Then now now you're getting to it. Now it's not uncommon. Now where you can sort of, whereas as the guy who's nearly 70 has the green light is if a young woman approaches you and says, and this happens all the time, can I have a hug?
Yeah.
And if they're asking for that contact, and it's a very, look, it's a nice hug, but not an aggressive hug. But if they initiate it, and there are hundreds of people around, if they initiate it, then I think it's fine. I hesitate a little on that, but I will do that because, they're asking for it. I would never initiate that contact.
People want to hug us. A lot of people even want to hug me.
Yeah.
But yes, people want to hug us. We're from the prairie, so we kind of go, sure.
We're part of people's families, Pete. I think and television has this magical intimacy, and more than movies, because although people watch a lot of movies in their homes, but there's something about television series where you get involved with ongoing characters. You see them show after show after show, and the show is coming into their space in their most intimate, unguarded, vulnerable position. They are receptive to receiving information. They're not on their guard. They're not wondering what's someone going to say to me. It's a safety thing that the program has with people, and all television has this quality. It's safe. And so I think that makes the relationship, if they like it, and if it touches them, if it strikes an emotional chord, which is positive, you really have created a relationship with someone. They feel that a relationship exists where we have no way of having that relationship with them, but we are imbued with that. There's an intimacy that is created. And I think, from my perspective, I think there's a lot of responsibility in that you have to treat that carefully, because people are vulnerable to you, because or I feel that vulnerability at times, because we have been in people's homes. We have, they are watching us in whatever state that they're in their lives at that point. And that's a very intimate thing that's being created, even though it's only a one-way intimacy. It's their intimacy. It's not ours, but it's real.
No,
and we've all experienced that.
My dad was a manager, always said, well, yeah, being a movie star is great, but remember, you have a different thing. You're in their house. You're in their
Yes.
room.
Yes. It is a big difference.
Aware of that, and taught me that when I was young. You're on TV. You're in their house.
Yeah, that's a real thing. I didn't think about that, but you're right. Like, that's an intimate family moment because we all watched it together, right?
Yes.
It wasn't just,
you're part of someone's family. As if you're watching mom, dad, kids around their grandparents around the television. Now, I think that experience today is rarer and rarer. You can be in a room with 5 people and they're all watching on a different device. They're watching something else. They're not paying any attention to each other. We're losing something in that as people. Now, you can't put the genie back in the bottle. It's done. Right. It's out there. But I think that we are seeing that there is a price to that lack of connectivity that we are sharing together as we watch something or experience something. I think that can be challenging for people.
Yeah. Like when it's no good to measure a household, because the household might be 4 people and they're watching 12 different things at one time.
Yeah.
And that's crazy.
Well, now with ratings, what they are, and particularly with streaming, there's ratings used to be a kind of an algorithm that, I'm not sure what the math is, but it's pretty sophisticated and they're drawing a lot of conclusions. Today, you may not know who's watching, although you can know if the IP address is connecting, but you really know exactly to the minute how long people are watching. If they're in fact connected to their device is watching that or is streaming that thing. I take this opportunity to bring up the fact that in 2024, on Peacock, which of course is NBC's streaming service, Little House streamed 13.3 billion minutes in 2024.
Wow.
Which is 25,000 years of streaming in a single year. And it was the number one vintage streamer in 2024. And we'll see where it falls in 2025. But it just tells you that it's alive and well for people.
Yeah.
I think that's my new name, vintage streamer.
Yeah.
Vintage streamer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, very.
And I guess we haven't mentioned this, and obviously we've talked a little bit about Laura Ingalls Wilder and the genius of her work and how much it connected with us and everything. But also Michael Landon. I mean, there's a TV genius, and that certainly didn't hurt your guys' futures working with him.
He made all of our futures.
Yeah. What an amazing thing.
He made all. Michael hired people to do Little House. I mean, other than maybe, Victor French had a career. Probably he wasn't a household name, but Victor had a wonderful career before starting virtually. And Charlotte Stewart had a really nice career. But I think most people who did the show were pretty green or relatively unknown. Now, Alison had worked as a kid.
But I was not known. And even Melissa Sue, Melissa Sue has been on the Brady Bunch. They weren't known. And then he took the people who worked, like Richard Bull and the guys, they were character actors. They were in a slot. They did stuff. Nobody knew their names, but they were in Twilight Zone. They were in everything. They were character actors.
Right.
And what he also did was he gave them roles unlike whatever they were doing. Victor French was the villain in everything. He was the heavy.
Right. And he became this lovable, sweet guy.
Even was beloved.
Victor can make you laugh and make you cry in a drop of a hat. But I think, and as we talk about Michael, there was a genius in Michael, and he understood something about people, a lot about people's need to connect with something that could be inspiring to them. And I think he crafted Little House in a way that it could create foundational emotional intelligence or help people find their emotional intelligence as they watched it, because he wrote the series wide open. The audience, all with rare exception, and there are some exceptions, but with rare exception, the audience always knew what was going on. They knew everybody's side, and it's so they're watching to see how is this going to work out, because they know everything. They know what every character is involved, what their story is. And so they are watching and measuring a character's response. And in those responses, certain kinds of values and morals and ways of thinking are being communicated that are being done so honestly that it's instructive. It really, truly is instructive. I mean, I always say about Alison was a very important part, and certainly Harriet, her mother, was a very important part in teaching people how not to behave. And that has value as well.
Oh, there is nothing so instructive as a bad example. Nothing so instructive as a bad example. Don't do that. There I was. And it should, with Laura's relationship, it was like, how do you handle a bully? And here's Laura, so how do you stand to a bully? I'm like, so performing a public service, as always.
That's right. Now, Laura and Mary were, in their own different ways, were both very, very strong role models for young girls. Incredibly strong role models. I think the more, as you watch more of what Melissa Sue Anderson did on the program, wonderfully crafted. Melissa Sue is, but as a child was a wonderful, wonderful actress who had a huge level of honesty in what she was doing. And she was very strong and when you look at at episodes, Michael wrote her in a way where in many episodes, Mary was the conscience that people needed to. You knew what was right based on what Mary said and did, and that's true for Laura as well. But I think Laura was younger. Laura was sort of figuring it out in a lot of ways. Mary knew. There was no Mary knew what was right, and you could count on that she knew what was right, and very powerful. And Michael gave her. I mean, Michael wrote for her in a way that, I mean, she has some of the most impactful, emotionally impactful episodes in the history of the series, because her pathos was so strong. You just knew that when you watched her that you were getting the real thing. Yeah. And it wasn't pretend with her. You really believed her with Melissa Sue. Very special talent.
She was very much about upholding the laws, and Laura was all about testing them. Laura,
that's right.
She was all about testing the limits. Like, well, how far can I go? You said not to hit Nellie. Well, I just kind of slapped her. Is that okay? And she was, Laura was always looking for a loophole. Whereas Mary's like, no, we're going to do this just by the
right.
book. I walk away. So it was the interesting dynamic of these three girls. It's fascinating.
When we think about all of these things, we have images in our head individually, and this is probably not true, but when I think about her, I think about her being shot, pointed up like a hero shot, right? Like where she was this strength.
Which her? You're talking about Mary now?
Melissa Sue. Her character. And so in my mind, I picture looking up like a big sister at her. And I wonder how many of those shots actually happened to give me that, because that is the one image I think. And she's got her prairie clothes on, but I'm looking up at her as a little kid. And I don't know if Michael did that or not.
I think absolutely he did that. There was nothing, there would have been nothing to chance on that. He knew how he was shooting people.
He was a genius.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think Michael was so tuned in to the power of how cinema could communicate subliminally
about him. There's a book written about like how he would show hands and all these other things that would have imagery.
No shots were accidental. I want that book.
Right.
But anything he did. What was that one shot he did? And it was when he had to give Caroline some terrible bad news. They don't do the scene where he goes and tells her. He walks out there. She comes back and walks up to her, and she looks at him, and he goes to her and it's a long shot with just the music and the trees and the thing. And you see them have the conversation and be devastated. And that's it. There's no talking. There's no nothing. There's no sound. There's no dialogue. He's told her, the end.
Well, because again, this is a case of the audience knew.
They already knew.
The audience knew what the news was, because we'd seen Pa have whatever the experience was. It's sort of, you didn't have to hear them say it. She reacted in the right way that affirmed what that emotional response to that moment. And it was that emotional communication was very clear. Michael did not feel like he had to say everything. His dialogue was very spare, but he did say what was needed to be said. And I think people talk about this all the time with his writing. Michael didn't overwrite anything. It was very, very clean.
I love that. Hey, let's make some money real quick here. Tell us about the latest reunion event. We cover all of that. We've got the link.
Everywhere, baby. We're everywhere.
Yeah.
So we're on December 12th, 13th, and 14th in Simi Valley, California. We're doing a holiday cast reunion at Strathern Historical Park. It's going to be a gathering of about 17 of us cast members. One crew member will be with us if she's able to, based on what's going on with her health wise right now. And we won't know that until we get there.
She's much better, but ow.
But it'll be about 17 of us, and anybody can check it out at Little House on the Prairie Cast Reunions. That's plural, castreunions.com. And that will take you to our event that is set in Strathern Park in Simi Valley. And I think it's going to be a really nice event. We have not done as a group, there have been Christmas events, but this is our first as a group staged Christmas event. And I think because Christmas was such a very special part of the emotional warmth of Little House, doing a Christmas holiday type event is really a good territory for us to be in. And the episodes that we show will be holiday based episodes. And everything is about the warmth and the warmth and goodness of the holidays is, what we'll be talking about and showing to people. And Strathern Park is a wonderful location because it's an 1800s farm that was bequeathed to the city of Simi Valley, and they've built around it with this homestead. They've built around it with authentic buildings. And you really just feel like you're stepping into another time, particularly if you go on tours of the interiors of these buildings. They're just lovely and beautifully appointed as the family left them, and with very personal things in the house. And you really feel like you're stepping into another time. It's I think it's going to be a great space for us to do an event.
I love it.
Epic again. It's like in the spring, it's another 50th anniversary, and Santa, and we have Santa Claus.
Yes, we have Santa Claus. So the major things that on our Friday night, the Friday part of the event, the centerpiece of that event is sort of a holiday party that we're doing on the Friday night, and that is a VIP ticket or a holiday party ticket that people can buy. Saturday, we're doing a variety show. We're calling it a variety show, but it's really going to be Alison anchoring that show with moments from her wonderful show. And I'm sure some comments that she will have about life and times related to Little House. So
Indeed.
that way, and others will get up and do things too, but Alison is the anchor of that. And then on Sunday morning, we're doing a holiday breakfast. These will all be really nicely presented experiences that people can come and have. And then, of course, we're showing screenings of episodes, and we're doing VIP presentations where people can come into a little church that there's there, and they're going to be interviewed by our colleague Pamela Bob, who is our host of our Little House 50th anniversary podcast. Pamela is coming out from New York to conduct those interviews in front of a live audience, and we'll be capturing those conversations, and we will make those conversations available for people who cannot be in the room, but will be able to watch those conversations at a later time. That'll be fun. And of course, we have something that's really cool. And we've never done this before. We're having a group called Art Party for You come to this. And their whole thing is, it'll be about teaching painting. If people want to paint something that's sort of a Little House-esque scene, if they want to make jewelry, if they want to make a Christmas ornament, and we'll do visits with Santa Claus for the kids and tree trimming, and we will auction off those trees for the benefit of PanCan, which is the Pancreatic Cancer Network, they are our charity partner in this. And of course, Michael passed from the unbelievable effects of pancreatic cancer. PanCan is our charity partner for all the events that we are doing from this point forward. And we're delighted to have that association with them. They are a wonderful group. And of course, what they stand up for and support, research for pancreatic cancer, is very important work, because pancreatic cancer continues to be a very, very serious thing. When you're diagnosed it's all about work heading toward a cure, because there is no cure yet, but right. They are working toward that. And that's their commitment. And we want to support them in that commitment in Michael's name to help make that happen.
Alison, I'm going to start wrapping this up. Is there anything you want to add? By the way, everybody go to this thing, look in the notes here in the remarks, or just look in the show notes. It'll be there for you guys. And these things are awesome. So definitely do that. But go ahead. Anything in closing, Alison?
Well, yeah, I mean, this Christmas thing is going to be huge. And if you're in San Francisco next week, I will be at Club Oasis on November 14th. And then Dean and I are going to the Chocolate Expo in Lincoln, Rhode Island, which is going to be nice. And I do love chocolate.
Oh my God. I it's the greatest invitation I've ever gotten. I mean, it's like to be able to go and talk Little House and eat chocolate, massive amounts of chocolate over a weekend. I'm sure I'm going to feel a little acid refluxed at some point.
Yeah, yeah.
But oh my God, I'm going to love every bite of it.
Now we get to burn it off in New York. There's lots of watching in New York. We're going straight to New York because we're doing the podcast with Pamela Bob live on stage, and it's going to be streamed, and you can watch it online, and you can see it in person. And it's a matinee. It's a Saturday matinee in New York. We're doing that on Saturday. But yeah, we'll be in New York, and there's lots of walking. We'll be going to shows. We'll burn off that chocolate.
That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, fun to be in New York during the holiday season. At any point. Manhattan is sort of magical during that time. So our podcast is on November 22nd at 1 p.m. It's at Green Room 42. I can't even give you the website. I think it's probably Green Room 42 is the place you would go. Greenroom42.com is where you would go to find the ticket for that. And you can log into that ticket page and buy a ticket. It's a very limited audience that you can have for this. There are a total of 150 seats available for this. So it's very intimate, and based on the pictures that we've seen and Pamela's, who knows all things New York, this is a great space for us to be in. So we're really looking forward to it.
The link for the podcast is over here. Maybe over. It's below Alison is where it is.
Oh, yes. Littlehouse50podcast.com. Perfect.
I'm like Elmer Fudd over here.
There it is.
Yeah. It's right under Alison. Yes, I see it.
And
the Green Room 40. Oh, perfect. Look at you. VenueTix.com. The Green Room 42.VenueTix.com. Thank you, Pete. That's awesome.
Yes. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for playing. And I hope that we, getting to talk all these things that aren't the normal questions. I hope that you guys were out having a good time.
You're a good talker, Pete. You do good talk.
Thanks. I appreciate it. All right. Hang in there. I'll say goodbye to you guys. Everybody else, that's 3 shows today. I'm wiped out. I'll see you all later. Bye-bye.